This has been a big learning for us. In general, in automation, but especially in AI, modularity is key. Just like give it a smaller set of really predictable, easy to solve tasks, and then compose those together. Way easier to debug, way easier to handle cases where it gets it wrong. So that's our kind of best practice.
Yeah, super nice. Hello and welcome to another episode of our 9X tool demo series, where we introduce you to the latest and greatest of SaaS, no code, and AI. My name is Jan. I'm one of the co-founders of 9X. And today I have the great pleasure of being joined by Jacob, founder and CEO of Relay.app. Jacob, great to have you on board.
Thanks so much. I'm excited.
Perfect. Maybe before we get underway with the demo, you can just give everyone a quick intro into Relay.app, what you're building, why you're building it.
Yes, let me give a quick overview of who I am, and then that leads naturally into what Relay.app is. So I've been a productivity nerd my entire life, and I've studied AI in productivity tools for my entire professional career. So at one point, I was a graduate student pursuing a PhD in AI, studying how people make decisions in their digital calendar. That led to my first startup, which was an ad-powered digital calendar called Timeful. We got acquired by Google, and I led the product teams for Gmail and Google Calendar, and some of our other products within Google for many years, including building things like Smart Reply and Smart Compose, the AI integrations that help you compose your emails. And then started working on Relay.app a couple of years ago with the idea of bringing the power of AI to cross-product automated workflows. And so what is Relay.app? It's an automation tool. If you've used Zapier or if you've used Make.com, we're in that category, but we're trying to rethink those tools to be what they would be if they started today. And so if you start today, you do a few things differently. One is you could build a cleaner, more crafted user experience. You could build deeper and more robust integrations. But most importantly, you could integrate AI and a human in the loop in an elegant way. And that's what I'll show you in the demo.
Amazing, super cool. And from early on, so from what you mentioned there, it's like obviously there's a very wide range of use cases. Is there a particular like industry or user group that you've seen have really like clicked with Relay.app compared to other industries?
Yeah, so indeed at the highest level, it's Lego bricks. And it's a flexible horizontal tool that we see people using in lots of different ways. I would say there are two themes that have emerged. One is that most of the use cases have been in and around customer management and the CRM. Gotcha. So there's a very common theme like emails come in, forms get submitted, meetings get scheduled, and I need to update my CRM appropriately. Or something happens in the CRM and I need to send an email, I need to send a Slack message, I need to create an e-signature. I need to update a support tool in some way or project management tool. And so I think that's the core of it, because that's where people have a lot of these like cross-product, cross-team workflows that really benefit from both automation and also a human in the loop. But there's also a crazy long tail of use cases that we never could have imagined. And it's cool to see what people do with it.
Amazing. Nice. All right. Well, then I think let's get started. I'm super interested to check it out.
Let's dive in. So I'm going to show you a quick demo. And the idea behind the demo is that we're going to make a little workflow that helps you automatically reply to emails that are specifically about pricing, if people email you about pricing questions for your product. And so as you can see here in my Gmail, I have this example email that I sent to myself with a question about pricing. It's a hypothetical user that wants to create an automation with Typeform and Salesforce, and it'll run 10,000 times per month. And they're asking me what it would cost with Relay.app. And this is a pretty simple factual question that I can have an AI answer. And so let me show you how I can build up that workflow in Relay.app. First, like with other automation tools you may be familiar with, we're going to start by setting up our trigger, which is when an email is received. And we make it really easy to filter down to the subset of emails that you want to trigger this workflow for. So in this case, I think the alias I used for that test email is support-test@relay.app. And then you can quickly see in this preview all of the emails that match the filter in the past, so you know exactly what emails it would run on it. So you can quickly do a preview here and say, yep, that is that specific email about the Typeform and Salesforce automation. And you can also see all of the other fields that you'll have access to as you build out the automation. Like in the from field, you'll have the email, the name, the first name, the last name. I'll show you where we use those later. Then, after you set up your trigger, it's time to do the automations. And so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to add an AI step to determine whether this email is about pricing or not, because I only want this AI bot to do a very limited set of tasks. It can only answer emails about pricing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add an AI step, and that AI step is going to ask if it's about a pricing email. And so one of the things that we've done that's really nice in Relay.app is we've made it very easy to specify the structured output of your AI step. So instead of getting like a big blob of text back from GPT 3.5 or 4.0 and then parsing it and doing string manipulation, you can just say, what I want to get back is a Boolean. And I want that Boolean to be, is this about pricing? And that is then the Boolean I'm going to use to construct the path down below. Then you can create a simple prompt that's like, you are a support agent for Relay.app. Please classify whether this email contains a question about pricing. And in additional context, you can determine exactly what you want to put in the context window. So in this case, I'm just going to put in the email that originally came in. But if I wanted to supplement that with some other knowledge base I had internally, like in a Google Doc, I could totally do that.
Here, you're basically giving it all fields of the email, not just the text, right? You've just said, hey, whatever we get from this email.
Exactly. And if I only want to pass in the body, or I only want to pass in the attachments, or I only want to pass in the to, I could do that. But in this case, I'm saying just throw the whole email into it and see what you can do with it. And so that's the first AI step. Then, as a result of that AI step, I want to set up a simple path, because I want to only draft replies to emails when it's about pricing. So I'm going to create a rule-based path, and I'm going to say the first path is pricing question, and the second path is not. And pricing question, we're going to go down this path when the model responds that the email is about pricing. And we're going to go down the other path under all other cases. Now, if it's not about pricing, we are done. So I want to just end the run. We're done. You don't have authorization to do anything else. It's not about pricing. If it is about pricing, now I want to actually construct a reply to the user. So now I'm going to add another AI step, and I'm going to use a custom prompt again. And because this use case is a bit more advanced, I'm going to use GPT 4.0 instead of GPT 3.5.
Gotcha.
And so let me see if I can write a prompt quickly. You are a support agent for Relay.app that is trained to answer questions about pricing. Please reference Relay.app's pricing at https://relay.app/pricing in your answers. That's going to give the AI a hint that it needs to go browse that web page to look for knowledge. And so now I'll say, please draft a polite and concise reply to the incoming email, clarifying how much their use case would cost with Relay.app, and comparing that price to Zapier. You can
very smart
find Zapier's pricing by doing a Google search. And again, I'm going to pass in that email as context. And in this case, I'm going to allow the AI to use the web, both to look up specific websites and URLs like Relay.app.pricing, and search Google if I ask it to figure out what Zapier's pricing is. And in this case, the output I want is just going to be a text field, which is the email reply. And maybe I could also help out the AI a little bit and say, like, please use the format hi at, and you can see I make it really easy to reference the first name of the person, and then thanks, Jacob, and put the message in here. Now, the next thing I want to do is actually send that email back to the customer. So I'm going to create a reply automation. I'm going to reply to the email that did the original triggering. And in the body, I'm just going to use the response from the model. I realized I actually want to drag that into the path and put it right below the prompt step. Now, there's one more thing I want to show you.
I think, Jacob, you might need to remap, because I think you might have mapped it to the response of the first prompt.
That is a great catch. That is a great catch. I used the wrong AI step because you see step 1, the message from is about pricing. What I really want, you're right, is the email reply from step 2. Thank you for catching that. Yeah, that would have been an annoying bug. And there's one more thing I want to add, which is I just set up this workflow. I don't know if it's going to be right. I want to add a human in the loop approval step because I want to make sure that before we send this email to the customer, I have a chance to double check it. And so I'm going to send an approval that's going to send me a Slack DM that's going to say, we're about to automatically send a reply. Please confirm that it makes sense. And then I'll say original email, and then I'll reference the subject and the body. And then I'm going to say suggested reply. And then I'm going to reference from the right model response, the email reply. And now it could be that I always want approvals for this use case, or it could be that I just want to do this once as like a bootstrapping mechanism until I feel confident that the AI is going to get it right. And so now let's go through and test that workflow with the example email that I shared before to see if it actually works. So I'll create a test run and let's get it started. So the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to ask GPT-4.5 if that email is about pricing. Luckily, it determined that yes, that email is about pricing. And now it's doing stuff like I asked it to. It's going to Relay.app/pricing. It's Googling Zapier pricing to see if we can find that. Oh, look, cool. It found the Zapier pricing page, which is the relevant page to determine whether Zapier is going to be cheaper for this use case. It's now looking up Zapier's pricing. It's trying to craft a reply. This step may take 5 or 10 seconds. And then at some point, it's going to be done. And it's going to ask for my approval. And so this message isn't like super well formatted. I'd want to improve it if I were running it for real. But you can now see the original question, and I'm going to get this over Slack too, but just for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to show it here. It repeats the original email. It says, here's the reply. Thanks for reaching out. For this use case, the plan would cost $9 per month on the professional plan. In comparison, Zapier's professional plan is $19.99 per month, but for 10,000 tasks, it would actually cost you $129 per month. This is true. And now the tone isn't quite right. I wouldn't say it in exactly this way. So I would probably want to edit it before sending it, before using this workflow for real. But just again, for the purpose of this demo, I can say approve. And now it's going to go send that email back to the customer. And so that's a quick demonstration of how you can use RelayApp to take what you've probably done before, which is like an if this then that type of workflow in Zapier and Make, and imbue it with AI steps that produce structured, predictable responses, and a human in the loop that makes sure the right thing is going to be sent out to the customer.
Yeah. Amazing. And I think what's great there, so first of all, on top of the amazing demo, a little hack that you showed that we see maybe some people doing a little bit differently. Some people might just give AI one prompt and say, if this is a pricing email, do this. And actually what you did there is break that down into smaller steps and having simpler prompts, one simple prompt for the classification, and then another one once you know that's done. And that's a really
this has been a big learning for us in general in automation, but especially in AI, modularity is key. Just like give it a smaller set of really predictable, easy to solve tasks, and then compose those together. Way easier to debug, way easier to handle cases where it gets it wrong. So that's our kind of best practice.
Yeah, super nice. Now, the one next question I would have, now we've seen a little bit of a spoiler into this in the reply there, but like on your pricing. So how is your pricing structured? I see there that it's also obviously about like automation runs, which is quite normal. But with regards to AI, I didn't see you putting in any, for instance, OpenAI keys or Anthropic keys. How does it work with the AI credits?
So at the highest possible level, we've mapped our pricing structure to Zapier's. We've named our tiers on the website the exact same thing. We have the same unit that we charge for. Like unlike Make charges for operations, Zapier charges for tasks. We call them steps. Yeah. But so if you're familiar with Zapier's pricing model, you can pull up Zapier in a tab and Relay in a tab and compare us directly side to side. We are cheaper at every level. You get more functionality included at each tier, and we also are cheaper per automation, but it's like a consistent pricing model. We also, because it's a lot of friction to put in your OpenAI API key, we include a reasonable amount of GPT 3.5 and GPT 4.0 usage as part of our free tier. Is super limited because we can't be losing a ton of money on the free tier. But in the pro tier, we actually include like a reasonable amount of AI usage. And then if you go above that amount, then you would have to put in your API key and hook it up directly to OpenAI. In the future, we plan to have an in-product crediting system so that you don't need to worry about other accounts and charging up credits in other places. But for now, you have some included stuff for free, and then you can charge it up with your OpenAI API key, just like you can with all the other automation products.
Gotcha. So I guess super easy for anyone to like venturing into their first AI workflow, that they can play around with it without the worry about. Yeah.
That's exactly the idea. Like, get started with no friction. See if the thing works for you. If it works and you're going to run it at scale, then yeah, we have a little tutorial of how you go buy the API credits for OpenAI, but like, we don't want to make that a blocker for people who are just exploring AI for the first time.
Perfect. Super nice. One last question from my side, Jacob. So what's the next thing on your roadmap? Obviously, you've already got this perfect like workflow builder that's working well. The one, let's say, every workflow automation tool has to battle is integrations. Are you looking like just, okay, the workflow works, let's integrate with a bunch more tools, or you're rather looking to pack some new features in?
You're exactly right. So right now, we think that we have a very solid core foundation with all the workflow automation essentials you'd expect. It's got paths, it's got webhooks, it's got iterators, etc. Can we improve all of that? Of course, and we will. But right now we have 100 integrations. Make has, 1,500, 2,000, Zapier has 7,000. And so I'd say 70% of our focus going forward is going to be filling that integration gap to at least get up to a few hundred so that we can cover the critical products for a larger subset of teams. And then within that 30%, we divide it across two buckets. One bucket is upgrading workflow automation essentials. Like, we have a pretty cool idea of how we can do formatters and data transformation steps in a way that's unique in the market. So we're starting to work on that. And the second is making our AI steps more powerful and usable. So we have this concept that I didn't have a chance to show in this demo, which is a mini agent that you can imbue with automated actions. I'll send you a demo video of that later. But that's basically like 50% build new integrations, 15% improve, continue to up-level the core workflow experience, and then 15% make our AI constructs even better. And that'll take us through the next few months, and then we'll talk again and I'll let you know where we are.
Amazing, perfect. Then with regards to getting started, you mentioned there's obviously a free tier, a free plan. We'll definitely leave a link below in the description for anyone to check out Relay.app. Any other like tips for someone to get started for the first time?
Hopefully it's super easy. Go to Relay.app, sign up, do your first workflow. If you run into any problems, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or on Twitter, or just email in to support@Relay.app, and it'll probably be me that answers your question.
Perfect. Amazing. Then Jacob, thank you so much. For anyone watching this, if you want to be informed about the next tool demos that will be released, make sure to like and subscribe on this video and to our channel. And yeah, from all of us here at 9X, thank you so much, Jacob, and very much looking forward to what comes next for Relay.app.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jan. Great to see you.